People don't look at the profit and loss of a developer. They just see the beautiful buildings. Developers must have unlimited amounts of money, but
They see the 10% of success stories. Meanwhile, the majority of the time and energy and money spent goes towards projects that don't even get started.
you can run into certain types of issues in different places. The way that they play out is going to be different from place to place, though. So in New Mexico, for example, you have people that own water rights and you can buy and sell them. But in Costa Rica, you have to go through a process that tells you whether or not the water is going to be available at all. And so we were doing well testing, and there were different studies that had to be done in general to see if the water was going to be available. And that was probably one of the biggest factors for it. The other was that it was a complex assemblage, and there was like a business sale that was involved with an existing hotel and some other land that we were working with. And then there was it was all part of an expansion plan for NRI's existing properties, part of the Casa Chameleon brand. And
so it's a mix of complex, diligence items from geography, like water usage, to the actual real estate and legal side of things. What was like the main reason that you guys pulled out, or was it just because it was so complex?
It wasn't because it was complex that we pulled out. It was that some of the factors weren't coming together, right? So the complexity is something that we were focused on. We were focused on creating value by solving the complex problems. And kind of the opposite of that is what I'm pursuing with Castello. We're trying to simplify the projects. I've seen the way that the complexity works. I understand the way that the complexity can create value, but I also see the other side of it, where if you're not getting involved in the complexity and you can just do it cleanly, it can be a smoother ride for everyone, investors, us, the community. And so I don't think that it was a complexity in and of itself, but when you introduce the complexity, you have certain factors that are going to cause you a lot more problems and lead you more often to having a project that you're not going to move forward with. And so in that one in particular, we had sent hundreds of thousands of dollars out to as a deposit on the land, and we spent, I don't know the exact figure, it was 8 years ago maybe that we were working on this to begin with, but it was tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on design, legal, other types of things. And ultimately those were abandoned project costs. And so those are some of the things that people don't look at on the profit and loss of a developer. They just see the beautiful buildings. Developers must have unlimited amounts of money, but
they see the 10% of success stories. Meanwhile, the majority of the time and energy and money spent goes towards, projects that don't even get started.
Yeah. I mean, we started on a project recently and ended up not pursuing it. And we've looked at several others and not pursued them. And, it's time and it's money and it's opportunity cost. And those are things that you just have to deal with, and it's part of the business.
Yeah.
But
there has to be a point where you decide that the time, energy, and money isn't worth it for that particular deal, right?
Yes. And as the developer investing our own dollars, we're doing that before we bring investors in, right? We're working through all of these issues, making sure that the project is viable and as safe or risk mitigated as we can make it before we start to bring investors in.
Yeah, it's sizing up the project and then essentially bringing it on a platter and having investors come in, the lenders come in and create a whole little business and economy in one specific project.